Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back. I hope that you are all doing well. This is where I talk about the books that I'm reading and that I would like to read. I do like to read diverse books and I highlight Canadian literature. If you are new, thank you so much for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. Today I am so excited because I am going to be sharing my reaction to the 2025 Canada Reads Longlist. It was announced on January the 9th, and there has already been a buzz in the air, which has been really, really awesome. So if you don't know what Canada Reads is, no worries. I will explain all of that very shortly. And then I will talk about the 15 books that are on the list. And then I'm going to share with you the 5 books that I'm hoping will make it to the short list. So, what exactly is Canada Reads? It is, I think, one of the best literary events ever that promotes Canadian literature. The whole idea is to choose a book that all of Canada should read. And of course, non-Canadians too. There is a sub-theme, which this year the sub-theme is the one book to change the narrative. Now, this theme bugs me. Not this one in particular, but the idea of having a second theme, and I'll explain why. The whole idea is already to find one book that all of Canada should read, which is awesome. It's great. But in the debates, because there will be debates for those of you who don't know what Canada Reads is all about yet, there's debates. And in the debates, it's always brought up that, you know, a certain book fits the theme or a certain book doesn't fit the theme. Some of them fit better than others. And I would be fine with that if the defenders chose their books knowing what the theme was, but they don't. So, you know, bonus if your book fits the theme, but if it doesn't, then that can really go against you in the debates, and you have no control. So this theme thing is, I think, very unfair when it comes to the debates. Okay, so these book debates happen annually. This is the 24th year. 5 Canadian celebrities or public figures each defend a book. And the debates happen over 4 days in March. And at the end of each debate, a book is voted off, survivor style, until we are down to 1. And I should also mention that the host is Ali Hassan, who does an amazing job. And what I love the most about this competition is that it gets the country reading and it highlights Canadian literature. Now, last year, they did put out the long list before Christmas, and I really liked that, and here's a couple of reasons why. One, it's great for Christmas, but more importantly to me is that it gives you time to read, because now we have a list of 15 books, and the short list will be announced in like 2 weeks, which just isn't enough time for me to, you know, get all of the books and read all of them. I will read a couple before the shortlist is announced and then commit to reading the 5 shortlisted books. But if given the time, I would commit to reading the long list and, you know, make my predictions of the short list from that. However, we have the 2025 long list and I am very excited about it. So let's take a look at these books. And just before I do that, I do want to mention another very cool thing, and that is that the list for Canada Reads can have books on it from any time period. These aren't, you know, books from within the last year. They're not necessarily new books. Sometimes they are gems that have kind of been forgotten about. So it's great to keep discovering all kinds of Canadian literature from past till now. So for the list, I'm going to go in the order that CBC listed them. So first up is The Whispers by Ashley Audrain. This was published in 2023 by Viking, which is an imprint of Penguin Random House. This is a book that I've read. It's a thriller that begins at a barbecue in a fairly well-to-do neighborhood. One of the mothers, at some point at this barbecue, explodes at her son. Everybody there at the party hears what's going on. And then later on, that same boy falls from his bedroom window. So over a number of days, you get different perspectives of the various characters about what happened. And the whispers, which are the intuitions that people have that were present, I guess, at the time. So I thought that this book was good. I enjoyed her debut novel, The Push, more, but this is worth a read too. It also isn't the only thriller on the list. So there might be a thriller in the shortlist. If so, I am hoping for one of the others. Next up is another thriller, Watch Out for Her by Samantha M. Bailey. This was published in 2022 by Simon & Schuster. And this is a new to me author, and this story sounds compelling. It is about a mother who is moving across the country with her husband and their 6-year-old son. She feels really good about this move and leaving behind the child's babysitter because Sarah, who's the mother, has seen something shocking that has made her want to leave. So now she feels safe in a different city, in a friendly suburb, but when she finds hidden cameras in her new home, she wonders if her past has caught up with her and who's watching her now. So if I were to pick a thriller for the list, it might be this one. I am very interested in it. The next book is a nonfiction, A Two-Spirit Journey by Ma-Nee Chacaby with Mary Louisa Plummer. This memoir was published in 2016 by the University of Manitoba Press. This book is Ma-Nee Chacaby's account of her life as an Ojibwe Cree lesbian. She has memories of abuse, poverty, alcoholism, learning the spiritual and cultural traditions from her elders. And eventually she ended up moving to Thunder Bay with her children. And she became sober and started working as an alcoholism counselor. She came out as a lesbian and she led the first gay pride parade in Thunder Bay. So this one definitely fits the theme. In the past, some of the nonfiction books they've had a tougher go because defenders felt like they were, judging someone's life, and they have tended to be voted off. However, some have won as well, so it can go either way. There are other Indigenous books on the list, and I'm thinking another one might make the short list. At least I might be hoping. This is a book that I do want to read, though. Okay, one of the books that I also want to read is a debut book in translation. This is What I Know About You by Éric, I think it's Chacour, translated from the French by Pablo Strauss. This was published in 2024 by Coach House Books. This story begins in 1960s Cairo, where the main character, Éric, has basically his life set out before him. He kind of knows what's going to happen until he meets Ali, which turns his life upside down. I have been hearing good things about this book. It's one that I want to read, and I wouldn't be sad if it made the short list. The next book is one of my favorite books of all time, by an auto-buy author for me. I've talked about this book on my channel many, many times, and it is The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. This was published in 2020 by HarperCollins, Canada. This is such an amazing book. It takes place over 3 days on a maternity ward, or really kind of closet, in Ireland during the Spanish flu. It is about women, how they are treated. There are so many layers to this story, and each character has a purpose, and they're part of the story to tell. I thought that was brilliantly done. I would love to see this on the shortlist. Next is a book that I talked about quite recently on my channel, and it is When the Pine Needles Fall by Ellen Gabriel and Sean Carleton, with Sean Carleton, I should say. This was published in 2024 by Between the Lines. This is another nonfiction book. It's about the siege of, and I don't know how to say these names, Katsi'tsakwas and Katsi'tsakwas, that happened in 1990. The author, Ellen Gabriel, was the Mohawk spokesperson for her community during that time. And this tells of her life and experiences. So this obviously might make the short list. It is on my TBR regardless, but for the short list, I'm hoping for another book by an Indigenous author. So I didn't put this one on my list, but of course I'm going to read it. This next book I am very curious about. It definitely sounds like my kind of book, and it is now on my radar because of Canada Reads. I hadn't heard of it before. Etta and Otto and Russell and James. This is by Emma Hooper. This was published in 2016 by Fig Tree, which is an imprint of Penguin Random House. This is about an 82-year-old woman, Etta, who decides to walk from Saskatchewan to Halifax, which is very far. It's like over 3,200 kilometers, because she's never seen the ocean. So this is her reasoning. She seems to have her priorities straight, in my opinion, because she brings a rifle, some chocolate, and her best boots. So I thought that was great. Otto is her husband, who she leaves a note for, lets him know I'm walking to Halifax. Russell is someone who has been loving Etta for a very long time, his entire life, and he insists on finding Etta. And then James is a coyote. So this story has like similar vibes to the 100-year-old man who climbed out the window. It seems to have quirky characters, which you all know. I love me some quirky characters. I think it's going to be funny. It seems to have some humor. So this one is definitely on my TBR, regardless if it makes the short list or not. Next up is another book that I have been very curious about, and one that I put on my TBR as soon as I heard about it. It's called The Other Valley by Scott Alexander Howard. This was published in 2024 by Simon & Schuster. I find the concept of this book really appealing. The idea of this is there is a valley, and then to the east is another valley, but it's the same valley just 20 years ahead of its time. To the west, it's the same valley, 20 years behind. There's this idea of mourning, MOURNING tours, where chosen town residents can go on in order to view the dead in the town where the dead are still alive. So a couple of mourners at some point cross the border, I think when they shouldn't. I think that's how it happens. And people are sworn to secrecy so that they don't disrupt the course of nature. You can imagine how that goes. So this just sounds so good to me. Again, it's one that I will read no matter what, but I am hoping that this will make the short list. Next up is another nonfiction, a memoir, Jennie's Boy by Wayne Johnston, which was published in 2022 by Knott Canada. This was the winner of the Stephen Leacock Prize last year? No, in 2023. And it is on my radar. I would definitely appreciate the humor and won an award for humor. So I think I would like it. It is a memoir about Wayne Johnston's childhood. He had an illness, and it's how he survived. I will definitely read this eventually, but I'm not choosing it for my hopefuls on the shortlist, because I think that if there's going to be a nonfiction on the shortlist, I'm hoping it will be the next book, actually. The next book is Becoming a Matriarch by Helen Knott. This was published in 2023 by Knott Canada. I will be totally transparent that one of my main reasons for choosing this book over some of the others is because the author is from my hometown, and I'd love to see her make it to the shortlist. I also just picked up her first book, which is In My Own Moccasins, and I want to read both of these. So Becoming a Matriarch is also obviously a memoir about Helen Knott when she loses both her mother and her grandmother within 6 months of each other, and how she has had to think of matriarchy and her place within it. And I think, some of these themes, for those of you who know a little bit about me, some of these themes are probably a little close to some of my own recent experiences and some of my own reflections. So this is on my TBR, but I am really hoping that it makes the shortlist. The next book I think will make it to the shortlist because this is the second time that it's on the long list. And it's Dandelion by Jamie Liew. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. This was published in 2022 by Arsenal Pulp Press. Since this book was published, I've heard really good things. People have really, really liked this book. And this is another mother-daughter story. This one about 11-year-old Lily, whose mother walks away from the family. And her disappearance is mysterious and kind of not talked about. And now that Lily is going to be a mother herself, she is looking for some answers. And her search brings her from BC to Southeast Asia to find out some of those answers. So I really think that this will make the list, and I look forward to reading it. Next up is another debut, However Far Away, by Rajinderpal, S-Pal. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. This was published in 2024 by House of Anansi Press. This is about a man married with 2 children who is attending his nephew's wedding. This story is told from various perspectives as the main character's secrets of an affair are revealed. I would like to hear more about this book. I just feel like there's not enough here for me to really say that, it would be a good candidate for the shortlist and for the debates. But I would like to hear what people who have already read this, I would like to hear their thoughts about it. Next is the first of 2 graphic novels that made the long list. Clyde Fans by Seth, which was published in 2019 by Drawn and Quarterly. This has been on my radar before. It's made some lists in the past. This is about brothers Abe and Simon, who are trying to save their family business. The family business is selling oscillating fans. But everyone at this point wants air conditioning, so the business isn't doing well. So this is not high on my TBR, but really only because I'm not a big graphic novel reader. I have heard really good things about this, and if it makes the shortlist, then I will definitely check it out. I'll read it. Next is a new to me author, Girl Runner by Carrie Snyder. This was published in 2014 by House of Anansi. This is about a 104-year-old who lives in a nursing home, but she used to be an Olympic athlete in the 1920s. And this is her, she's reflecting on her life and is able to go on one more adventure. And I do love an older character and a strong, female protagonist. So this does sound very interesting, but I'm not sure that it will make the shortlist. The last book on the list is the second graphic novel, which I have, and it is All Our Ordinary Stories by Teresa Wong. This was published in 2024 by Arsenal Pulp. This is a memoir graphic novel that begins with Teresa Wong's mother's stroke. She has a stroke in 2014, and it is a series of stories that search for the disconnection that Teresa is feeling from her parents. This looks at culture, history, language, and personality that can all be barriers to being close to her family, and it tries to answer questions that will help her understand, who she is. So if one of the graphic novels makes the short list, then I am hoping that it's this one. But again, I am not a huge graphic novel fan. I don't read a whole lot, so it's not on my hopefuls list, but I will be reading this. I am interested in it. Graphic novels have made the shortlist before and have won in the past. So it wouldn't be, shocking or impossible to see one of them make the shortlist. So those are the 15 books, and my hopes for the shortlist are Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. This is purely selfish because I just love the book, and I would love to see it makes to the debates. Dandelion. I feel pretty confident in Dandelion because, as I said before, it's been longlisted in the past, so I'm pretty sure it will be shortlisted this time around. And it's one that I've, been wanting to read anyway, so I'm excited to finally, get to read it. My third choice is The Other Valley. This is high on my TBR, and I think from the premise, it will have the ability to spark a lot of conversation. So I hope that's true. My fourth choice is another selfish one, but also I do think that an Indigenous author will be chosen for the shortlist. So I'm going with Becoming a Matriarch by Helen Knott. It's the one that I have been wanting to read for the longest time as well, but I will read all of them, so I will be happy either way. So for the fifth spot, this is the tricky one because I have three options. If a thriller is chosen, I'm hoping it will be Watch Out for Her. However, I'm not convinced that they will put one of the thrillers on the short list. I think they might just be fillers, and they're trying to bring attention to a couple of, genre type books. So thrillers have been on the long list in the past. I'm not sure if any of them have made it to the short list. I'd have to take a look at that. But anyway, that leaves me with two books that I really, really want to read. Etta and Otto and Russell and James. I think that I will absolutely love this book. But the book that I think will make the short list is What I Know About You by Éric Chacour. I think it will be good to have a book in translation on the short list. I've been hearing really good things about this book, so I am choosing it as the final book in my hopefuls for the short list. The shortlist will be announced on January the 23rd. I am very excited to see what actually makes that list. And then we also learn who the defenders will be. That's always great fun, and I am usually introduced to, new Canadian celebrities, which has been kind of cool. The debates will take place from March 17th to the 20th. and you can watch them or listen to them. I will leave some links below so that you can look into Canada Reads further. I will also be putting out some more Canada Reads content. Once the shortlist is announced, I will be reading all of the shortlist and we'll make a prediction video of the winner before the debates. So I hope you follow along. If you are looking for even more Canada Reads content, then I will also link below my friends at Canada Reads American Style, Rebecca and Tara. They do a great job, and they've already put out their predictions for the shortlist. So I'll put that below, and they will be putting out Canada Reads content throughout the debates as well. So they have been doing that for several years now. So you can listen to them through YouTube or as a podcast. So please let me know if you are following Canada Reads this year. If you've been following for a while, is this your first year doing this? What books on the long list have you read? What books are you hoping will make the short list? Do you agree with some of mine? Are you hoping for some others? Let me know why. I absolutely love all of the Canada Reads buzz. I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.